Hello, my name is Sally Lunt and this is the third video in the Numeracy Counts series. In this video I'm going to talk about some of the new things that you might introduce at home to help your little one to continue their numerical development. The first thing I would suggest is baking. I know it can be a little bit messy, but it is a great way to develop numerical skills. You can start by asking your little one to read out how much of each ingredient is needed, and then help them to weigh out the correct amount of each ingredient. You can also further develop numerical fluency by asking a few questions. For example, you might ask them, do we need more or less sugar than flour? And a suitable follow-up question would be, how much more or how much less sugar do we need than flour? You can also think about scaling up and down. So for example, you might say, if we want to make twice as many cakes, how many eggs will we need? Or if we only want to make half as many cakes, how much sugar will we need? The great thing about baking is that you get to enjoy what you've made at the end. The next thing I would suggest is games, some more games. Hopefully your little one is familiar with a regular pack of cards and dice by now, and assuming that's the case, you can introduce a few new games. Junior Monopoly is a great next level game. They might need a little bit of help setting it up and playing initially, but it won't be long before they're able to do everything, including the setup, independently. In terms of card games, one of my favourites to introduce at this stage is golf. It's a really simple 2 or more player game, probably not more than 6 players, that is brilliant for numerical development. You will easily find the rules online, and once you're all familiar with how to play, you can get your little one to start scoring for everybody at the end of each round. Again, initially, they might need a little bit of help and support to score, but it won't be long before they've worked out everybody's scores before you have. In addition to the game of golf, you might also like to introduce double it, triple it, times 5, times 10. This is a really simple card game and you can play this with 2 or more people and there's not really a limit to the number. You start by sharing all the cards out equally amongst the players. Every card takes its face value in this game, and you can either exclude the Jack, Queen and the King, or you can let them take the values 11, 12 and 13. Once the cards have been shared out equally, the player who goes first turns over their top card and lays it face up for everybody to see. The first person who can correctly double it, triple it, times 5 or times 10 wins the card. And the aim of the game is to win as many cards as you can. So at the end, when all the cards have been played, you just count up your pile and whoever has the most cards is the winner. The great thing about these games is that your little one will be practicing their times table without even realising it. The next thing I would suggest is some number painting, or some finger painting rather. And again, another messy one, but it's a great way of exploring numbers and it's a really nice relaxed activity to do together. So we can explore the idea of 1 more or 2 more or 1 less, 2 less by using painting. So for example, you might get your little one to paint the number of dots that represents their age and then ask them, how old will you be in 1 year's time? Or how old will you be in 2 years' time, for example? You could, in terms of looking at 1 less or 2 less, you might start by painting a certain number of sweets and then asking your little one how many will they have left if they eat 1 or if they eat 2. You can also explore doubling using painting, and this is an activity I really think is a nice one to do together. So on one half of your paper you can paint some dots or some shapes or whatever it is that you want to paint. Then if you carefully fold your paper in half, when you open it you'll have exactly double the number of dots or shapes that you started with. And this is a really nice thing to explore and spend a little bit of time talking about. You can also explore numbers by using building blocks. And in particular at this stage, I would recommend thinking about odd and even numbers. You can do this by looking at the numbers 1 to 10 to start with. Take each number in turn and ask whether it's possible to share this number equally between two people. If it is, that means that the number is even, and if it isn't, that means that the number is odd. Once your little one's happy with the idea of sharing a number between two, get them to work on sharing, say, 11 or 12 and anything up to 20 blocks between two people, and see if they can work out whether a number can or can't be shared between two people evenly. Once you've done all of that, make a list of the numbers, all of those that can be shared evenly between two and all of those that can't be, and see if they can find any patterns there. What you're trying to get your little one to spot is that the numbers that can be shared between two, so the even numbers, end in a 0, a 2, a 4, a 6 or an 8. And the numbers that can't be shared by two, so the odd numbers, will all end in a 1 or a 3 or a 5 or a 7 or a 9. I've previously talked to you about National Numeracy, which is a fantastic charity that you can use to support you to develop your numeracy if you want to. It's likely that your little one is approaching school age now, and so the National Numeracy Family Toolkit is likely to be a really valuable resource that you can start using at home. You can download this from their website. As always, my final suggestion is to continue with the reading, and there are loads and loads of brilliant maths and number storybooks out there. A few of my favourites at this stage are Bean 13 by Matthew McElligott, Equal Schmeequal by Virginia Kroll, and Divide and Ride by Stuart Murphy. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you will continue to have great fun making numeracy count.